Okay. So yesterday we have gone through some of the topics like introduction and all right, we have people here joining. Introduction to Scala, and then we also learned about a little bit of syntax and all the data types that we have. We also got to know that Scala is a pure object-oriented programming language and why it is called so. So we got to know that. But yeah, if you are attending the session, it's important that you have Scala ready in your local system so that you can practice whatever you are learning here. Also, make sure to keep a notebook and a pen with you always so that whatever being discussed here, you are noting down, and also try to be responsive, like saying yes, no, or asking question. That will keep you alive throughout the session, and it will be a good learning session overall. Okay, so today we are going to discuss about keywords, various types of keyword in Scala. And I know these are the very basic things, and that you can easily relate with any other modern programming languages, right? And mostly you can relate with Java, right? Let me start with the screen recording, and then we can start. Okay. So we have tons of keywords like in any other language, and keywords are the reserved words. Like, what do you mean by reserved word? That you cannot create any variable name with those keywords, right? Those words, those particular words are reserved to perform certain action. So also, I would like to say that the second session is the final session. Like whosoever is joining, please drop your email address so that we'll target to send you an invite for this meeting, so that I will we can avoid this manually invitation acceptance thing, because it creates disturbance right in between. So we'll do that. We'll do that through WhatsApp group. Okay. So I'll just quickly go through it, but yeah, we'll get to know each and every keywords or words slowly when we'll progress in our sessions. So at the class level, we have keywords like class, object, extend, straight, import, package, super, this, new. And when you do exception handling, there are keywords like try, throw, catch, finally. There are the data types like val, var, that we have discussed. Val is value and var is the variable. Then there are literals, false, true. Even you can define null also. Modifiers are also there, abstract, final, private, protected. Conditions you can use like if else match case, like in any other programming language. For loop also you have do while, for some, for each also there. And then you have functions. You can define functions using keywords like def, override, return. There are symbols, certain symbols like underscore, colon, equals, arrow sign, left, right, and then there are percentage for giving comments, hash, at the rate. There are other keywords like implicit, lazy, seal, type, with, yield. Okay, so these are the names that you can use, like where it has been used, right? And if I'll read it for you also, it won't make any sense, right? It would be difficult for you to remember each and everything. So we will learn these keywords and their usability in our lab session that I'll do in parallel with this theoretical readout as well. Okay, so break is not a keyword. This is one of a point to be noted here. Like in most of the questions, when you give online aptitude question for Scala or Spark, they ask these types of questions whether break is a keyword and all or not. So you can go through this. These things will be helpful at that time, right? Like any other programming language, you can give comments here, slash, two times slash you can give, and then you get to know that you can provide comments. You can also provide multi-line comment, same like we have in Java. Okay. Yesterday we have discussed about operator overloading, but yesterday I told that there's nothing called operator here, right? Even plus is also a function in Scala, right? So it's not operator overloading, but it's a function overloading. where you can keep the same signature, function signature, and you can overload the parameters, change the parameters. Okay, it's fine if you're not understanding anything, but these are the keywords. Okay, you can make a note of it if you have the notes with you, or otherwise we will learn it slowly. Okay, I have discussed this point yesterday, so I'll move a little forward. Okay, so there's one more point here, like in Java. Oh, let me start Scala. If it's not started, then it will make more sense. Right. Let me do it here quickly. Okay. Should be used now. Please install Scala in your system for practice. Otherwise, it won't be useful. Okay, so we'll go into bin and we will start our terminal, Scala, Spark Scala terminal. Okay, like we have done yesterday. It's nothing new. All right. Okay, so like in Java, you can do something like this when you say where count equals to 0. Okay, you can do where counts equal to 0. But if you're trying to do something like this, like count plus plus, this is something which is not allowed here, because plus plus is not a member of int. You will get such type of error. So if you're seeing such kind of syntax anywhere, whenever someone give you a piece of code and ask you that, hey, whether this will compilation failure or it will work or not, the clear answer is that it won't work, because plus plus is not a member of int, where int is a class, and it's a child class of any val. Okay, we have discussed this yesterday. Now, if we have count equal to count plus one, this way you can do, which is much cleaner way of doing it, right? Or you can go by count plus one equals one. These way you can do it. But plus plus is something that not supported. Okay, we have operators here like any other programming language, arithmetic operators, plus, minus, multiplication, divide, modulo. Relation, like you can do greater than, less than. Equality, you have logical and, or you have bitwise operators you have. But as I said before, these all are treated as a function, right? All comes under the function, and that I have shown you one of the example of plus operator yesterday. But it's convenient to say that plus is an operator, right? But internally, behind the scene, these all are function name, right? That we have discussed. Okay, so now we are going to learn something new from here. Okay, so operators are of three types. There are like infix, prefix, and postfix. Okay, so what is infix? Infix is something that you put place between the two operands. So let's say when you go like where sum equals to 1 plus 2, so you can see here plus is in between two operands, so it's a infix operator, right? You get the result, right? Okay, and then this is the way how you can create any string. If you want to create any integer, if you want to create any string, you can go like this way. However, it's not needed. In order to tell you two more methods, we need this. Okay, so I hope everyone is aware of this substring method, right? We have a substring method, and substring method, what it does, it takes a part of the characters from string, right? So when you say 4, it means from the fourth index till end, it will take the character. So here, if we'll do something like this, okay, so message dot substring, if you pass 4 here, you are getting O world. And the reason is that index starts with 0. So 0 position is H. So 0, 1, 2, and then 3. So up to this much, it's gone. Now, starting from 4, it will take everything. Okay. Now, the point here is, like I have discussed yesterday, that if you have val a is equal to 3 plus 5, right? You can write it like 3 dot plus and then 5. Why? because we Scala treats plus as a function name. But if we can, okay, so we can go other way also. And what is that way? What is that way? If we can say message dot substring equals to 4, where substring is a function, so can we write something like this? Message space substring space 4. Can we write something like this? Because if we can write a function like this, so we can write like this. Okay, let me try this way, whether it worked or not. It worked, right? So when you have when you have function and which accepts only one single parameter, Scala gives you flexibility to to write your line of code something like this, where you can say message space substring space 4. Now you can ask the question why we are learning this, right? I'm fine with this form. Why do we need this? So the reason behind is that just to explain and make you comfortable in understanding the approach that what this plus is. It's not an operator. It's a function, right? That's why you can interchange the syntax among them, and then you can conclude that okay, this way also we can write, just to verify, just to make yourself comfortable. Okay, and once you will be comfortable in Scala, trust me, you will find you will find Scala much easy while writing any Spark application, because when you learn Scala thoroughly, especially their collections and other important topics, uh, 90% of your work is done in terms of writing any complex logic in a Spark. And the reason you will get to know slowly when we will move forward. Okay, so it's very important when you it's important to learn one of the language, either Scala or Python, in deep, so that you get to know about more and more functions here. Okay, so moving forward with this approach, as I was telling, that this is applicable for only one parameters. It's not applicable for two parameters, right? So okay, so let's say, what does it mean? If I say s is dot substring 4 comma 7. So starting with fourth index, and it will go till seventh index, 4, 5, 6. Okay, minus 7. So it's like it will start with 0, 1, 2, 3, up to this much gone. Then you have like 4, 5, and 6. So you need to remember this because different programming language adopt different methodologies. So here, when you do substring of 4 comma 7, it will exclude the end part and is just giving you OW. But what I'm trying to explain here, we will learn about this when we will discuss string in detail. But what I'm trying to understand, when you try to do this in a way, something like this that we have done, it will fail, right? So can we do this here? Yes, you can do that if you put a parenthesis here. Okay, so this way also you can move, and then uh, this is just another way. If you find this way much simpler, then it's fine. One more reason to understand this syntax, because Spark is completely written in Scala. So when you will work on your IntelliJ, and if you try to click on any existing library, it will redirect to you those out-of-box code. So in order to understand those out-of-box code, it is very important that you know the Scala syntax in deep, so that you will be comfortable in understanding what's the behind the scene, how the internal logic of each and every function works, right? So that's the reason behind it. Okay, so this is about infix operator, right? We are using operator something in between, and we are utilizing it, right? And then we will move to prefix. So we have done this, infix, prefix. Meanwhile, anyone has any question? I always recommend that whether you have question or not, you should keep on utilizing this chat box, which will help you connected with the session, and you can ask question. I know that was not very tough thing, but yeah, if you have anything, raise your hand, and then I will get to know, okay, someone raised hand, and then you put your question in the chat box, and then we will discuss it parallelly. Okay, let's go to prefix operator. What is the meaning of prefix? Something that comes before, right? So in prefix, we put the method name before the object on which we are invoking the method. Let's understand this. Let's declare a function, a variable. number. Okay, so I have declared a number and I've assigned minus 100 to it, right? You can say that minus is just before it, and that's the reason it's a prefix, right? But behind the scene, how it works like it internally invokes 100, okay, dot unary, which is your function name, and then a minus sign, okay. So what's going on here is that this is your this is your function name and you are putting your values just above it, but in reality if you see that it's just before the number, and that's the reason it is called as a prefix. You can write in this way also, 100 and then dot unary minus, and this way also it will work. It's all about understanding, because behind the scene it works like this. It is fine. We can go to the postfix operator now. Okay, so what is postfix? So postfix is something which comes after the declarations, after the operand or whatever the number you want to apply, this kind of operator or a function. Right? So that comes under the category of postfix. In postfix, we put the method name after the object. So let's say you declare where num equals to 100. Okay, and as I told you before in the last session, that whenever you define any integer literal, by default it's integer, right? So if I want to apply any postfix operator to it, like let's say postfix function, then we can use too long, right? So if we use too long, it is like the number just after this number operator, and it gave you the result, and you can see the data type is long. Okay, I think this is more or less similar approach. So can we just remove this? Okay, so you can remove this, and also you can try in that way. You can ignore the warnings. In the earlier version, you need to import these Scala language postfix operation. I think I believe this is older version, that's why it is coming like this. But in the new version, if you install Spark 3.0.3, you no need to import this explicitly. We will learn this import and other statement writing a full-fledged Scala code when we will work on IntelliJ session. I went quick little faster here for this section. The reason is that it's quite very basic and it comes under almost every programming language. And hopefully everyone is clear. May I get yes from everyone so that we can move to the next topic? Yeah, sure. We have, I do have assignment, but what you will do assignments with postfix and prefix? Do you want assignment on postfix, prefix, infix? It doesn't make sense, right? So if you progress further, there are assignments when the complexity level increases, right? So when you touch like something in the case class, like which is totally specific to Scala, or when you will learn collection, there are many things. I will definitely share assignments that you can go and do after the session, right? Sure. Thanks for the response. I want this. Okay, you have not joined the class, but you want help where the Scala has potentials versus other like Spark SQL. So you are misleading the thing. So let me tell you that this session is about Scala language, right? And I have discussed this in the last session, that Spark is a framework, right? So what do you mean by framework? Framework is something which has set of libraries which you will utilize to process big amount of data, right? And it has its own architecture. Okay, so in order to utilize those libraries, in order to utilize that framework and to build your own application, you need a language. So whether you can use Scala, whether you can use Python, whether you can use R, you can use Java, right? You can use these languages to write your Spark application. Okay, so let's say I have selected Scala, and the reason is all the libraries of Spark are written in Scala, right? And that's the reason it's pretty much comfortable and friendly, and it's easy to understand the out of box code also. So that's the reason people emphasize more when you write when you go for a Spark application, they suggest you to write in Scala. However, Python also has some popularity. I have discussed these things in detail yesterday. Spark SQL is just a part, it's just one of a module of Spark, right? So when someone asks you to write something in Spark SQL, you still need a language. You still need a language, whether you can write in Java, you can write in Python, you can write in Scala, right? So it's just a framework or libraries that you will use with some language. So if you're learning Scala, you can use Scala to write Spark SQL. You can use Scala to write Spark streaming and then Spark code. Does it make sense, Nagesh? Do you have any question? Perfect. Okay, then if all looks good, we can go to our next topic, which is about functions. This is something which is quite new. You will find new syntax here and interesting things. Okay, and so nothing is boring at all, by the way. All right. Let me know if you need any whiteboarding. I will connect my the whiteboard and we can discuss. But it will come in the later section. So I don't have any doc open. Let me close this. Perfect. Okay. So let's declare a function. Okay. So we were just like for 2 days, we are just doing everything on the command prompt, declaring the variables and playing around that, calling some functions, inbuilt functions. Why don't we have our own function? And what is a function? Function is a set of logic written under a block, right? So you write your own logic so that you can reuse it multiple times, right? It's a very basic definition. So let's see if your requirement is to compare two numbers, or if you want to find maximum among two numbers, this is the logic, right? You check between the two numbers and you return it. But if you want to reuse it at 100 places, I mean, no one will ask you to write the same logic again and again at every place. And that's the reason to increase the modularity in your program while writing any code. It's required that you create a separate function, and that same you can utilize at multiple places. So tomorrow, if you want to change any logic underneath that function, you can go ahead and change, right? So that's why function are very important. And let's understand how different it is and in terms of syntax in Scala. All right, so let me copy this and explain you line by line how to write this. Okay. All right. Okay, I like Java is something that I did long back ago, but I will try my best. Public, is it returning anything? Okay, int, and then let's say max number. Okay, I'm writing in Java, right? So that you will feel yourself a little comfortable in comparison. Okay, so this is your Java function, corresponding Java function. How do you write? You need to give any modifier. If you'll not give any modifier, I think by default it comes protected. And then if you give public, it's fine. Then int is the return type, right? Like what would be the result and what was the data type? What would be the data type when you will call this function? What kind of data it will return? So you say int type, that's fine. This the name of the function is max, and you are passing two parameters into it, like one is num1 and another one is num2. That's fine. And then what you're doing, you're just calling a if statement where we're doing comparison, num1 greater than num2, and you're returning the one which one is greater, the greatest among the two. And then you are returning, if num1 is greater than num2, you're returning num1, else you're returning num2, right? So this is a basic logic of comparing two numbers and identifying the max between them. But what if you want to write the same thing in Scala? Scala tells that you need a def keyword, right? And there it starts. There you will start understanding like I have just like 10 minutes back, I read tons of keyword, right? And it was hard to remember. But now you will interact with multiple keywords, and then you will understand the usability of the same. So def, something that you need to use, that you are going to define a function name. So you will start with def keyword. That is there. Next statement is max. What is the max? Same like here, what we do in Java. It's the name of the function. Then what's the next thing? Next thing is that likewise we have max and a parenthesis. You need to give a parenthesis here as well. Okay, given. Then two parameters, parameter one, parameter two. Okay, so same here, parameter one, parameter two. Like yesterday, we understood if you want to declare any byte type, then what we do a, and then we do byte, and then we do 10, right? So name of the variable colon and then the data type. So here we are doing the same thing. Name of the variable colon data type. Again, name of the variable colon data type. So it means what? Num1 is integer type, num2 is integer type. You're passing these as a parameter under max function. Okay, up to this much, fine, right? Now again a colon and then int. Okay, why so? What it is trying to do is that max is your name, max is your name of the function, colon the data type. What does it mean? It means that this max function will return integer type data. So it is quite similar to whatever you're writing int and then int here. Okay, again I'm repeating, this is the name of the variable. Likewise here, this is the name of the variable colon data type. Here also this is the name of the variable colon data type. Okay, so up to this much, if you completed up to this much, it means you have completed the function signature, right? Now we will come to the code logic. So in order to write a code logic, the only difference you see here is like we are putting equal sign. Okay, the equal sign added. All right. And then like we have block statement, we start block with curly braces, and here's braces, and then open, and then same thing. If num1 is greater than num2, it is there. Return num1, it's fine. Semicolon is not mandatory in Scala. I skipped it. If you want to keep it, it won't throw any error. And then else return num2, again a semicolon. I'm not putting it here just to show that whether you put or not, it doesn't matter. All right, I'm going to copy this piece of function and paste it and see what's the result. Okay, done. So this is what I have defined, and the name is function. It is telling that it has two parameters and it returns in data type. Can we call this to understand it? Okay, so if I say max and then pass 5,6, it is returning me 6. And what is res? Res is a default name that terminal returns with the counter. We have discussed this yesterday, right? Okay, so this is 6. Okay, so it's working fine. This is the way how we can define any Scala method. But you can ask, like yesterday you were talking so big things that in Java, it's a compact version. We can have some shorthand representation, but here the lines of code are almost same, like 1, 2, 3, 4, and here it's also same 1, 2, 3, 4. Can we make it? I mean, is there anything optional here? Can we just do some trimming around and make it like little small? Can we do something like that? Let's see if we can do it. Okay, so the first question is, so the first question here is, we are putting return statement. What we are doing, we are putting a return statement. So if I say is return, okay, we are adding return keyword. First question is return keyword required? Okay, so and I'm giving a hint. Just play with me and say answer, give answer yes or no. Okay, Scala inference, right? This is something that we talk about. So tell me, is return keyword something? Can we delete this return keyword? What's your thought over here? What do you think? No, just the keyword. I'll keep this num1 and I'll remove this keyword. Will it work? Okay, I'm getting one no and then two yes. Okay, how about others? I want everyone to answer, right? So, okay, meanwhile you think, I will keep the things ready. Removing the written keyword from here. Let me delete this. I deleted it. I'm going to wait. Did I get any answer? Okay. So many yes. How can Scala knows which to send to terminal as output? Yeah. So Scala is smart, right? Let me see whether it work or not first. Okay. So I'll copy it. Work. So why? I mean, we remove the return keyword. How Scala will get to know that this is the term? This is the. I mean, this is where that this is something that return is there. I mean, how Scala will get to know that okay, this is my last statement. I mean, why not? Scala is smart here to understand. Understand this logic, what it is telling. Okay, this is the line of code. This is the first line, right? It will interact. So it will check if num1 is greater than num2. Okay, then return num1. So if your line of code, if your execution come here, do you think it will ever go to num2? No, right? Num1 is the termination point, right? So if you draw a diagram, right, or tree diagram, so it will either, the execution will either go into if statement or in else. So if it will move into if statement and num1 looks like at the end, so num1 is at the leaf node, right? These are num1 and num2 are at the leaf node, at the last node, right? So num1, either it will go to num1 or num2. So Scala understood that okay, num1 is something that is returning me, num1 is something which is the last statement here, or num2 will be the last statement. In either case, it is I have already declared that this is of integer type, right? So Scala understood that okay, even though if you will not give a return statement, I will understand it that this function gonna return integer type data based on the leaf statement, based on the last statement of this function. Okay, so this num1 is int type, hence not suppose, I mean, it's not mandatory to mention the return keyword. Is it clear? Perfect. Now, can we do further modification here? Okay, the return keyword required? No, not required. Okay, return type necessary. Uh, so we have removed this. Based on the end statement, Scala identifies the return type and it will understand by its own and it will give you. Okay, so you remove the return type and it will understand it. Okay. Now let's make it more difficult for a Scala to understand what should be the answer or something. Let's make it more difficult here. All right, this is what my function so far. Now let me change it. If so, there are only two possible branches. There are only two possible branches for this function. Either it will go to num1 or it will go to num2, right? And the case are if num1 is greater than num2, then num1 or else num2. What if I remove this statement? Then Scala will confuse. Why? Because this piece of statement, this function, if num1 is greater than num2, the execution will go to num1. What if num2 is greater than num1? It's hard to predict for Scala that what would be the data type, because it could be anything, right? And we are not defining anything, right? We are putting Scala in little ambiguous states and trying to, I mean, it becomes difficult for Scala to determine, okay, what could be the possible data type here, right? If in either scenario it's in type, then I can infer it, okay, it should be in type. But if you're not defining the second branch, what could be the possible result? Then based on something, can someone tell me what is the parent class of int class we have discussed yesterday? What is the one? So sorry. Okay. What is the name of the parent class of int type? I think I got the answer. Any. No, no, no. I am asking immediate parent class of int. Immediate parent class of int. No. Any val. Okay, that's the right answer. Any val is the immediate class of int, right? That's what we have learned yesterday. That's why I'm asking you to keep an, if you are not enrolling for full subscription, keep a notebook and pen with you so that you can write few things. Okay, so any is at top, then we have any val, right? And then in parallel sibling is any ref, right? And then under any val we have 9 primitive, similar like primitive type, we have 9 classes defined. Okay, so Scala infer that, okay, maybe it could be some of the siblings of int, some data type, and that's the reason Scala gives you a step ahead data type. It will return you a step ahead data type. So like upper casting. So if you define this, okay, it's returning unit where the issue is. Okay, here's the mistake. The mistake is I am telling Scala that this is my function and this is my return type, right? I'm saying that, okay, int is your return type, but I'm at the same time, I'm confusing Scala with the different possible scenario, right? So that's the reason it is failing. So I cannot force Scala to keep int return type because there are other possibilities also. So I have to remove this. If I'll remove this and then run, it should run. And it ran and it gives you any val. Okay. Okay, I'll take a break here and let me know. Any question here as of now? All looks good? Any confusion? This is the statement. This way also you can define your function. No? Can we go to Scala screen? Yeah, sure. Oh, Scala screen here? Okay. All right. All good? Okay. Why then throwing error? Where? This part? If we are passing only int. Here? Or where you're saying I'm not getting you. We have error here and we do not have error here. So you're talking about first statement or second statement? Second statement. Okay. So as I told, so this is your function signature, and this colon means what I told you before, right? This is the name of your variable. Kind of, you think like it as a variable colon the data type, right? So you are telling Scala, you're forcing Scala to take int as return type, right? You're forcing Scala to take int as a return type, but at the same time, uh, you are not. Your logic is not so clear to tell Scala that what would be the return type or what would be your answer in case num2 is greater than num1, right? If num1 is greater than num2, you will return num1. But what if num2 is greater than num1, right? So Scala will confuse in that case because your logic is not complete. So that's the reason it went uppercut. So it may be like char, it may be boolean, it may be double, long. So that's the reason it is giving any value. Okay. All right. So can we, okay, it's like we reduce a good amount of statement, right? If else, can we make it more small? If we have just only one line, so can we write in like more compact form? Yes, let's try it. So we can write something like this: def max, and then the two parameters, and then If you are planning to write your logic in the same statement, no need to put this curly braces. So what you can do equal sign and then your if statement. That's it. Okay. This is your function signature. If you are not like any other programming language, right? If you're writing if statement and if you want to give your if condition, right? If logic, I mean, we do not provide in curly braces, right? So similarly, if you're defining your function and you do not have your logic in multiple lines, you can just simply give equal sign and write like this as well. Okay, so if I can copy this and then try to run it, will give you any value because we have only if statement. Let me try with else statement as well. Okay, so we'll do else num2, right? Let me ignore this semicolon. All right, and then will that work in the same way? It should. Okay, it's giving you 6. So this is your line of code in Scala. And this is your line of code in Java, even though if you remove this statement. Okay. And it's just beginning. We have not started functional programming. You will see a more compact form, and it's easy, even though Java is also trying hard to make syntax a little similar, but I mean, most of the libraries are written in Scala, so people and developer adopted Scala. All right. So let's move forward, and we have this int statement returning. Now let's define a new function called as greeting. So if I say def of, I think I've written. Okay. So when you say, what if I mean, it has been asked like to create a function which will neither accept any input nor return you any output, right? So if you say like def greet is your name of function, is your signature, we are not passing any parameter, so it's not accepting any input. However, it doesn't have any return statement. What we are doing under this function, we are returning we are just calling a print method to print hello world. Okay, so this is what my statement is. Okay, so since we are not returning anything, it will give you a unit. And as I discussed before, unit is a void statement that we use in Java. So you can use unit here when there are no return statement. So there's nothing to return. But if we call this method greet, it will this method will be called and it will print a statement hello world for you. Okay. All right. And we have another question here also. Do we need to specify return type in the function definition if the body has return keyword? Okay. So the question is, can we do this? Can we do something like this? Now, you have written a function called a square. Okay, defining a function called a square, which will accept one input, and it will return a square of that number. And you're explicitly telling this is my return statement. You're telling Scala that this is my return statement, but you're not telling Scala at the same time what would be the return type of this function. You are saying that return, you are using the return keyword. You're telling that, okay, this is my statement, but you are not declaring here what is the return type. Will that work or not? Let's see. So what is saying? Method square has return statement, needs result type. So if you are telling explicitly Scala that don't use your brain, Scala will completely not use its brain, right? And it will expect you to define and declare everything. So when you are saying return this, you need to mention explicitly the return type is something, let's say in this case, int. So you need to tell Scala that, okay, for this function, int is my return type. So if there is a return statement, you need to mention the return type as well. Okay. So if I call 5, you get 25. All right. So if we call square space 5, it's not working, right? We have seen in past, like, we can do something like this. We can avoid parentheses. Why it's not working here, right? We'll understand this. Okay. Can we do something like this? Print ln, right? And then we do hello world. Again, it failed. So println is something which is very known to us, and it should print. It should give the answer why parenthesis is not mandatory. I was teaching from like last day, and why here it is mandatory to put, right? So println is a method. Println is a function defined under some class, right? And the name of that class is console. So console is the name of class, right? And println is one of its method, right? And we use hello world to print. Okay, now it will work. So if you want to avoid the parentheses, and if you want to call, if you want to pass the parameters, a single parameter, without parentheses, you need to call the class name as well. Okay. And in this case, square is just a function. It is not under any class. We have defined it right now, and we didn't put this square function in any class. And that's the reason we are unable to call square like this, right? So these all are some tricky questions that in multiple choice you may get. Okay. Okay. Meanwhile, any quick question here? Anything? Do we have ternary operator to use in Scala like JavaScript? Can you give example, Nagesh? Then we can also remove else keyword from where? I think it's a late message that I'm reading. Nagesh, just mention those operators, what you're trying to tell. And then we have like, we can also remove else keyword. From where? You just give example. Line number 40. Here, it's already removed. Six. Yeah, else statement is given. So yeah, else keyword is removed, right? We have done this. We have executed this as well, and then we have executed this. Any other question? Okay, so I got a question here that if we use, okay, ternary operator, where if we use something A greater than B, and then yes, I believe yes, whatever you do here, you can do in Scala as well, and you can try it and get back to me. If it is not working, it should work in this way. So you install Scala and try it. It should work. Okay. Post your any question, anything. You can let me know later. So is that clear? The one who asked about line number 46 thing, is it clear? I believe yes, right? We have done this. Okay, so I'll move forward, and that's one of the important topics here. Imperative style versus functional style, and this is where we want to there you will see a different way of writing your Scala code or logic, right? Till now, whatever we are doing, we are doing everything in an imperative way, imperative style, the way we are writing Java so far, like until unless you are not changing your way of writing, you're not adopting Java 8 style and so on. We are so far we are writing all our code in imperative style, but there is also a functional style, and that we are going to see right away, not in detail, because we will have a separate session on functions. It is just this session is just to make you comfortable in defining the syntax and other thing. But in order to understand in deep, we have a separate session on functional style. Okay, so just quickly go through this imperative style, which is what we are learning 2 days. Let's say the requirement is that there is a list. I hope everyone know what list is, right? So list has 5 elements: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the requirement is to iterate each and every element of the list and print it. That's it. Okay. So what's a simple way? If you don't know anything, what you will do? You will declare a count. You will initialize count 0, right? You will run a while loop, and you will run the loop till you get the length, and then you will print count 0 means the index 1 data, which is like 1, and then count equal to count plus 1, which means like at the index 2, whatever is there. So 2, and then 3, and then so on, right? So this is one of a way where you can write something like. So let me, why not to run this? We can get here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, if there is little confusion, I'll add a line statement here. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, this is one way, and that this is very common way. We write program mostly in this way, right? But no one expect you, when you go for an interview or when you write a code for your project, in a real-time project, no one expect you to write your Scala or Spark project in this way, right? And even when you will start working on all the data processing work, you will never use these things, never ever, right? You'll start using, you have to use functional style. And in order to use functional style, it's important that you learn also, you know also the things. So how different it is, you might have seen those things. Okay, so all right, let's understand line by line. So like we have declared here our list 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, here also we have defined list 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, done. Now pick this list dot, call a for loop. Okay, here's a while loop, call a for each loop. Okay, this for each loop, add a parenthesis, right? Now take any variable name of your choice. Let's say I am picking num as my variable name. Any variable name, right? Any variable name. If you know for each loop, it's easy for you to understand. Okay, num, that's fine. Then what you will do? Add an arrow operator which will iterate to each and every element of the loop. Okay, if you are putting this for your comfort, put a curly braces also. Curly braces help you that you can write your piece of logic in multiple lines, whether it's 10 line, 15 line, 13 line, 1 line, it doesn't matter. So it's always safe that after this arrow, put a curly braces. Now what's the requirement? The requirement is to print each and every element. So you just do print ln, this you know, and print this variable. Okay, so what it will do, when you say numlist dot for each, it means take this list, okay, and iterate each and every element, right? So when you will be at the first place, like iterate one by one. So in the first iteration, the value of num will be equals to 1. So num, then print ln num. So it will print 1. Then again, for each will automatically move you to the next step, next iteration. Okay. In the second iteration, num value will be 2. So print ln 2. Same, it will go to third iteration. Num value will be 3, print 3. Num value will be 4, print 4. And at the last, num value equal to 5, print 5. And this is the last element. So it will terminate and it will come out. Can we copy this and paste? It will also result in the same thing, whatever you're doing in these line of code, right? So if you go for an interview and if someone asks you a very basic thing, they expect you to write functional programming way, right? No one expects you to write in the old traditional way. Okay. However, if you want to do some kind of fancy things like saying, okay, I want to define whatever the variable that I have defined, I want to give some sort of data type to it. Yes, you are allowed to give the data type. Then also it will work. And at last, there is a shorthand representation which is called partially applied function. We will learn this in our functional programming session in detail. But as of now, this is called partially applied function. Okay, so no need to do anything. No need to do even these things also. If you know you just want to print something, you just put the function name. That's it. And it will print for you. We'll understand this syntax in detail, apply method and all. But if you know a little bit of Spark, can you treat this num list as something called, this is for someone who knows Spark, num rdd, something like this, where you can apply any transformation or any function program like filter, or better to say map, right? Give some variable name of your choice, and then you do something and you write all your piece of code here, right? And then this gonna return a new RDD with a new map, right? So that's the reason when you will learn Scala thoroughly, when you will know about each and every function in the style, you will get to know Spark, a lot of functionality and the complex scenario, all the functions very easily. All you need to know, if you cover the Scala session completely, you will learn like 90% of logic you can write easily, right? Only the 10% thing will be on Spark architecture. There are a lot of things in Spark, but yeah, like in terms of writing logic, 90% thing will be covered. Then the remaining thing on Spark are like architecture, design, then what are the resources you give, and a lot of things, right? We can discuss in some other Spark session. But why I'm focusing more on learning Scala? The reason is very simple, because it makes you comfortable in writing your Spark code as well, right? Okay. So any question as of now? We already reached end of the session. So any question? Okay. Can we use println in other function and pass there? Which function? Can you help me with the line number? Nagesh, can you help me with the line number? Okay, okay, okay. So any supported function. So what does it mean? That's what I was telling, that I will discuss these things in upcoming session. Like when you go with apply method, internally it's a partially applied function. It calls internal function. So that's the reason I was not explaining, because we will have some other session. But yes, if you want to explore it, go ahead, install Scala, and you can create your own function as well. And you create your own function, put it here, it should work. instead of println, you can add any other function here. And what that function will do, it will that function will apply to each and every element of the list. Okay, so whether it's a custom function that you define or whether it's any out of box function that you can put here and run your code. Println, you are not like restricted to use println statement. Okay, new requirements today have not joined. Can you help 5 minutes on how to Scala with Spark? Since I never do these things, but I've asked, please be attentive in the class. So Spark official documentation also, if you go. One second. Others, can you forward me the link if you have handy? Or I think Himanshu also purchased the subscription. Himanshu, do you have the Spark link that I have shared yesterday? Can you share in the chat? I think 2 people know that. Can you help me with the link? Thank you. Okay, I think that's fine. So you go to Spark download. Okay, you go here, and then you select the version 3.0.3, and it should be 2.7. No, I have done on 3.2, but the name should come as this. Okay, so this is what Spark 3.0.3 Ben Hadoop 2.7 tar GZ. I think this is what I have asked to install, right? Can someone confirm? This is what I have 2.7 or 3.2. Can someone confirm here? I can check. 3.2. No, that's new version. So yeah, go ahead. This. So if you select this one, 3.2 and later, and then you see the option download Spark. So click on this one. You will get tar GZ. Then you untar it. Okay, untar it, and when you will untar it, just click on this one, download it. So when you will untar it, tar-xvf, this is the command. So when you'll untar it with the tar.gz, you will get a unzipped file, something like this. Okay, go inside this one, go in bin. You will see all the version like PySpark, and then you will see Spark R. But we are working on Spark Shell, which is your Scala. So just do /Spark Shell. Enter. Is it clear? Yes, that's a good point here. If your Java home is not set and you do not have Java installed, make sure you install Java 1.8 before doing this. Okay, and then please practice this, because it's all about practice. It's a new language, new syntax. In order to make yourself comfortable, it's really important. And trust me, after 2 or 3 class, the real thing will start coming, like when we will enter into case classes, declaring the class, and then the collection. Where you will see when you will attend Spark, if you have already attended any big data interviews, and whatever they ask, those questions are always move around on those functions, right? So there are a lot of things to learn in the short session, but we will try to complete. Yes, I enjoyed while explaining it. Okay, so we'll see you everyone. I hope please be regular, and we'll see you everyone tomorrow, same time, right? 9 a.m. Indian Standard Time and 8:30 p.m. MST US time zone. Okay, till then, bye bye.